Look at a helicopter hovering in the sky. It seems to defy physics, sitting perfectly still, suspended in midair, as if held by an invisible string. It can fly forward, backward, sideways, or just hang there, watching you. How is this possible? Many people think helicopter flight is a complete mystery. Some even joke that a helicopter is like a bumblebee. It shouldn't be able to fly, but nobody told the helicopter. But here's the truth. The principles of helicopter flight are actually not that difficult to understand. While a helicopter is more complex than an airplane, the fundamental physics are the same. The difference is that instead of fixed wings, a helicopter uses rotating wings, blades that spin around a central mast. And today, we're going to break down exactly how these spinning wings make the magic happen, step by step. How rotor blades generate lift. Let's start with the most basic question. How does a helicopter get off the ground? The rotor blades of a helicopter are essentially identical to the wings of an airplane. Each blade is an airfoil, a specially shaped surface that, when moved through the air, generates lift. So, how does this work? There are two key physics principles at play. First, Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. As the rotor blades spin, they push a massive amount of air downward. The air, in turn, pushes back upward on the blades. This upward reaction force is lift. Second, Bernoulli's principle. The shape of the blade causes air to move faster over the top surface than the bottom. Faster air means lower pressure, so the pressure above the blade is lower than the pressure below it, creating a powerful upward suction. The combination of these two effects, pushing air down and creating a pressure difference, generates enough lift to overcome the helicopter's weight. One crucial difference from an airplane's wings only generate lift when the aircraft is moving forward, but a helicopter's wings are spinning. They generate lift even when the helicopter itself is perfectly still. This is what gives the helicopter its unique ability to hover. Okay, so the spinning blades create lift, but how does the pilot control how much lift? This is done through a control called the collective, a lever on the pilot's left side. When the pilot pulls up on the collective, it changes the pitch angle of all the rotor blades simultaneously, hence the name, collective. Think of it like this. Imagine putting your hand out the window of a moving car. If you keep your hand flat, there's very little lift, but if you tilt your hand upward, the air pushes it up. The same principle applies to helicopter blades. Increasing the pitch angle means the blades bite into the air more aggressively. This increases their angle of attack, which increases lift. Pull up on the collective, more lift, the helicopter rises. Push down, less lift, the helicopter descends. But here's an important detail. When the pilot increases the pitch, there's also more drag on the blades. So the pilot must add more engine power, usually through a throttle or an automatic governor, to keep the blades spinning at the right speed. Now, if you've ever watched a helicopter take off, you've probably noticed a small rotor on the tail. Why is that there? Here's where things get interesting. When the main rotor spins in one direction, it creates a rotational force called torque that tries to spin the helicopter's body in the opposite direction. It's the same reason a helicopter would spin uncontrollably if the tail rotor failed. Newton's third law strikes again. The main rotor spins one way, and the fuselage wants to spin the other way. So how do we stop this? The tail rotor, mounted vertically at the end of the tail boom, pushes the tail in the opposite direction. It counteracts the torque and keeps the helicopter straight. The pilot controls the tail rotor using foot pedals. Press one pedal, the tail rotor pushes harder, and the helicopter yaws in one direction. Press the other pedal, and it yaws the other way. In fact, the tail rotor consumes about 10% of the engine's power just to keep the helicopter from spinning. So now we can go up, and we can stay straight. But how does a helicopter move forward, backward, or sideways? This is the job of the cyclic, the stick between the pilot's legs. The cyclic doesn't just change the pitch of all blades at once. Instead, it changes the pitch cyclically, meaning it varies the pitch of each blade individually as it rotates around the circle. Here's the effect. When the pilot pushes the cyclic forward, the swash plate mechanism tilts the rotor disc forward. The blades now generate more lift at the back of the rotor disc and less at the front. This tilts the entire helicopter forward, and the rotor's thrust now has a horizontal component that pulls the helicopter in that direction. Push the cyclic left, and the helicopter moves left. Push it right, it moves right. Pull it back, and it moves backward, or even hovers in reverse. This is what makes helicopters so incredibly maneuverable. You might think that once the helicopter is moving forward, things get simpler, but in reality, forward flight introduces a whole new set of challenges. When a helicopter moves forward, the rotor blade that's advancing into the direction of flight moves faster through the air than the blade that's retreating backward. The advancing blade generates more lift, and the retreating blade generates less. If left unchecked, this dissymmetry of lift would cause the helicopter to roll over. So how does the helicopter compensate? Through a clever mechanical design called blade flapping. The blades are hinged so they can flap up and down. The advancing blade, with more lift, flaps up. This changes its angle of attack and reduces its lift. The retreating blade flaps down, increasing its angle of attack and boosting its lift. The result? The lift balances out, and the helicopter stays level. And when the pilot wants to climb or descend during forward flight, they adjust the collective, just like in a hover. Want to climb? More collective. More lift. Want to descend? Less collective. So there you have it. A helicopter flies by combining the following. 1. Spinning rotor blades that act as rotating wings to generate lift. 2. A collective control that adjusts the pitch of all blades to control altitude. 3. A tail rotor that counteracts torque and controls yaw. 4. A cyclic control that tilts the rotor disc to move in any direction. It's a beautiful, elegant system that requires the pilot to coordinate all 4 controls simultaneously, both hands and both feet working in harmony. The helicopter isn't magic. It's physics, Newton, Bernoulli, and a whole lot of engineering working together to make the impossible look effortless. And the next time you see a helicopter hovering overhead, you'll know exactly how it's defying gravity.